So what are some early takeaways from the Summer Spurs?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, happy Monday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs right over Kansas 5, San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you had a great, long weekend. We enjoy that 4th of July, and, well, we're back to work, back to reality today. But don't worry, we got your back. We'll get you through the workday right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, before we continue, you want to go check out FanDuel. You want to do the ASAP because today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. Go do that ASAP. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at some early takeaways from the Spurs, the Summer Spurs. They're right now playing at the California Classic. What do we expect? What about Carter Bryant? Anybody else standing now on the roster, at least early through 2 games? So we're going to be discussing that, get into a little bit more about Carter Bryant, hear from Carter Bryant after his first game in the Summer League, and then catch up some news and notes and Spurs fan comments. Yeah, it's been a while. By the way, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs or get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, KS5 Plus. I have YouTube. You know what to do. Leave a comment on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. By the way, everybody, thank you so much. Leave it to Mike Jimenez, co-host of Area 210 Podcast, to alert me. And apparently we hit 8,000. 8,000, I had no idea. So thank you very much. I appreciate that, fellas, and just everybody who's watching. And we definitely like it. By the way, I write for Ken's 5 San Antonio. So for those of y'all who watch some daily Spurs news, just go to kens5.com. Check out my stuff at the Spurs section. All right, so how are the Summer Spurs doing? Oh, I think it's the Summer League, all right? What do you expect? Let's talk about that and more with our guest. He is Mr. Joe Garcia, back right here on Locked On Spurs to kick off a Monday with us. He is with Area 210 Podcast. By the way, Joe, I would like to have the alien above you. I think the last time you were on, you didn't have the alien.
No, I did. I always have it there.
Yeah.
I was trying to change the backdrop, but I forgot that when I put it up here on the TV, it only accepted it as a JPEG, and I downloaded them as PNGs. So I'm going to change the graphic for the next show.
Yeah, I'm looking behind you, by the way. Yeah. Is that a new Lego Darth Vader helmet?
No, I've had that one for a while. My son bought it for me.
Nice.
And I'm going to put it together here soon, and that way I can kind of showcase it. But he just bought himself some new Lego Star Wars figures.
You should put a Darth Vader helmet on the alien.
No, man.
That'll be hilarious. All right. Again, everybody, he is Joe Garcia with Area 210 Podcast. Follow him on X at Area 210 Podcast. He's going to brag about that and so much more about his show and why you should go subscribe later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. So, Joe, welcome back. We appreciate you. Starting off on Monday, talking about the Summer Spurs. Now, yes, it's only 2 games in at the California Classic. Joe, before we continue, let's lay the foundation here, right? This is just Summer League, right? These are just glorified practices, just basically to see who's going to stick, who's going to get a training camp invite. Maybe for another team that look at the Spurs saying, hey, I like their players. Let me pluck from them. This is all it really was, right? It is really, Joe. Spurs fans surely shouldn't put too much stock into this, right?
They shouldn't, but they do. They look at every single thing that's happening. At the end of the day, this is nothing more than just players trying to showcase their talents to see if they can get a roster spot with the Austin Spurs, and possibly even a roster spot at some point if they can prove themselves with the Austin Spurs, with the San Antonio Spurs, because things have happened in the past. And that's basically what you're looking at with Summer League. Yes, it's an opportunity to showcase some of the talent that you have as far as your picks in the draft. But let's be honest, they're not going to play very many games. They'll play maybe 1 or 2, and then they're going to yank them because they're going to want to save them for the regular season, because the Summer League means absolutely nothing other than just them trying to get some reps in and get a feel for the game. That's all it is. If you're looking for them to be, Summer League champions, that's not going to happen more than likely. It could, but is it going to happen? Probably not. But the thing is, just go out and enjoy some of the young talent.
As you can see on your screen that Dylan Harper is not playing in the California Classic. He is expected to play in the Las Vegas Summer League. So we'll definitely see a lot of him. For those of you who are just wondering, you're living under a rock, acting like, why hasn't he played in the last 2 games? Well, because he's not. He's special. And that tells you just how important, quote unquote, these games really are not. Because the Spurs say, oh, he has a groin injury, but then you look at practice footage, he's all getting bodied and checked and hard drives. So we know these games are not, I want to say meaningless. They mean something. And Joe, you brought it up too. You said it's not just for the Spurs developmental player, whether that's in Austin or in San Antonio. It's other teams. Other teams can look at the Spurs roster, Summer Spurs, and be like, hey, we like so-and-so guy. Let's invite him to our camp. So it's pretty much just a glorified practice / audition for all players for all NBA teams. And right off the bat, let's look at the first two Summer League games. And again, we'll get into Carter Bryant in just a few minutes, everybody. But I was looking forward to seeing, all right, what guy is going to step up so far and show off a 3-shot? And so far, really nobody has. That's still a glaring need for the Spurs. We've seen this before at some Gary Neal's, Mr. 3-point shooter. Your Bryn Forbes, he just emerged. I know, just that sniper. So far, we really haven't had a sniper guy to really emerge, have we?
No, and that's to be expected. The Spurs have done nothing to kind of solidify their 3-point shooting prowess. They don't have any to speak of. They've done nothing as far as drafting, let's say, players that they think are going to be good from beyond the arc. They're drafting players that are going to be playmakers. They're drafting players that are going to be role players, kind of like Carter Bryant, for example, that are going to help space the floor. He's great, with backdoor cuts, moving without the ball, giving you defensive prowess out there, giving you somebody who can go ahead and shoot. Maybe a mid-range jumper can go ahead and shoot maybe from beyond the arc, but not at a healthy clip. He's going to be more out there as a role player and a defensive player. The Spurs are focusing on defense, but as you stated, they've done nothing to shore up their 3-point shooting, and we can see that clearly again here in the Summer League Classic. But again, Jeff, it's nothing more than an exhibition game. Let's be honest. That's all it is.
Yeah, it really is. And, you even heard after the first game where the Spurs lost, the head coach for the summer team just say, like, this is just practices. And that's how they should approach this. You don't want to go like too wild. You want to go too crazy. You don't want to risk injury. You're more than likely, once Gillis shifts to Las Vegas, everybody, Dylan Harper may play a game and a half if we're lucky. That's how they don't really put too much stock into that. They just want to see what they got. Give these kids a taste of NBA action. Now, if I look at the roster so far, and I was looking at Riley Minix. Now, he didn't play that first game. You look at the second game for the California Classic, and Riley Minix hasn't played. And I look at that guy as somebody who could really step up to be that sniper. But so far, nothing. Maybe was saving him for Las Vegas. But right off the bat, Joe, if somebody is really showing out so far, it's this guy, David Jones-Garcia. He is just a bucket guy. Look at what he did against the Warriors in the second game. Already heading into the second half, going into that final frame, he already scored 18 points, 3 for 4 shooting, 7 for 11 at 20 minutes before the fourth quarter. So again, he did really well. And look what he did in that first game versus Miami. Again, 18 points, 4 of 15. He's kind of being maybe the early needle in the haystack they're finding right now, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, again, somebody that Spurs fans probably are not familiar with, including myself. But you know what? He's familiar, Jeff, because he's got the last name of Garcia. That might not be a bad name to get on the back of the jersey, right?
Hey, especially now in this episode of Locked On Spurs, that's for sure. You got 3 Garcias talking about it right now.
Yeah.
But, he's standing out so far. I like what I'm seeing. You hear the commentators on the TV say he's a bucket guy. He's a small forward. I don't think he'll stick to San Antonio, not because he's not showing enough, but I think he will get a training camp invite. He will likely get an Austin Spurs roster invite as well. I could see that going down that path because he's really been showing out. Another guy that's been really looking impressive too, especially in that first game, was Jameer Nelson Jr., the Austin Spurs guard. In 20 minutes in that first game versus Miami, he dropped 13 points. He went 2 for 2 for the for the free throw, I should say. He gave you 5 assists and went 5 for 9. But the problem for him, Joe, is the fact that he plays the guard spot. The Spurs are loaded with guards. We all know that. So right now, I think he'll be playing for is either just a return to the Austin Spurs system or maybe auditioning for another team that needs guard help. But he's been playing pretty well, Joe. Your thoughts?
He's been playing pretty well. I mean, but again, these are just players, I mean, that you can't put too much stock in them and be like, oh, I'm excited about said player. I mean, they can ball out, they can put up these points, but at the end of the day, it's the coaching staff that's going to decide who they're going to want to put on these rosters spots, as far as with the Austin Spurs, because more than likely that's going to be the destination, so it's not always about the points. It's the other little things that they want to see.
Mhm.
They're going to want to see the energy, the effort, how are they on defense? What kind of activity are they expected to see out of said player on a consistent basis out there on the court? What are they doing in the context of the game as far as making mistakes, turnover ratio, things like that. All the little things that, let's say, normal people wouldn't look at, because the point production doesn't tell you the full story. It can tell you that they're good. They had a great game as far as the numbers, but beyond the numbers, what did the player do to contribute to the team actually winning, or what are they doing to have the team more conducive to winning? What are they doing behind the scenes? Like I said, all the little things, going after rebounds, passing, 50-50 balls. Are they going out there giving the energy and the effort? I think that says a lot too about said player, because let's be honest, you can work with projects as long as they have a good motor, as long as they're being willing, as long as they're willing to be taught, and they're receptive to that.
Right. One more name we got to bring up is Harrison Ingram, the second-year guy for the Spurs. Now, that first game versus Miami, Joe, not really like numbers jumping out at you. Look what he did in that first game here and pull him up here. Harrison Ingram, in 12 minutes, scored 3 points, 1 for 7 shooting, 1 for 3 from the 3 line. So, yeah, it's, I mean, again, didn't have any numbers that jump at you, but we look at the second game versus the Warriors. Going into that final frame, 14 minutes, he scored 8 points, 2 for 5 shooting, 0 for 1 from the 3 line. So, again, if anything that really stands out for me, Joe, is that he seems to be relentless going to the rim in the last 2 games. So I do like that. But again, I feel that he's likely going to be in Austin again, isn't he?
More than likely. But if you look and see what both Harrison Ingram do, and also David Jones-Garcia, turnovers, man. Harrison Ingram has 2 turnovers versus the Warriors. And then you're looking to see what Garcia's done, David Jones-Garcia, 5 turnovers. Doesn't bode well, man. That's what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, it's like you got to take care of that ball. Turnovers can turn into easy points going the other way for the other team. And that can actually make or break a game if it's really close in the fourth quarter and crunch time. You got to watch those mistakes, and I think, again, beyond just point production, that's probably what the coaches are looking at too. How are they going to affect the outcome of the game by making mistakes?
Yeah. Yeah, look, this is where you want to make your mistakes as well. Not necessarily in a bad way, but a good way just to learn. Because either you're going to stick with San Antonio, Austin, or another team. So get them out of your system now. But so far, again, it's only been 2 games of the California Classic. Still way too early to give a full evaluation of the Summer League, because they still got to finish it out in California. And then they got to go to Las Vegas, where we'll hopefully get to see Dylan Harper. But you know what? We're going to talk about Carter Bryant. All right, coming up next, Joe brought up a good point before he hit record. He says, hey, I was like, Joe, what did you think about that first game for Carter Bryant? He said the P word. He said the project. We're going to talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs with Mr. Joe Garcia with Area 210 Podcast. Hey, but first, we're going to talk about FanDuel. Right now, you want to go check out FanDuel because summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're about baseball on the lights, golf on the green, high-stakes soccer, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. Really follow the action. Why not make it a little bit of thrilling with FanDuel? You can catch up on the game, get in on the action while your friends are just getting sunburned at the beach. Look, they got new daily promotions, fun ways to bet. They always keep it fresh, easy to use, fast payouts. Regular season games feel like must-watch events. You got even same game parlays. So, FanDuel makes you feel like you are part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.
It's going to be tough. First time out playing against grown men. Guys that are going to be smarter, faster, stronger than you, all those things. So I think for me, everything was a learning experience. I got to be smarter a lot of times. A lot of the mistakes I made were just mental errors. So I think for me moving forward, I just got to look back at this film and make adjustments. Genuinely, there weren't. Oddly enough, usually before every game, I get some butterflies before I go out there, but there was no nerves for me. I was just excited to go and play basketball. I haven't got to play basketball since we lost to Duke at Arizona. So for me to have Spurs across my chest and be able to represent one of the most storied franchises in NBA history, it was just I was ready to go and compete.
23.
There's room for improvement. I think that's the thing for me. Like, I could have had 40. I could have scored 0 points. There's always room for improvement for me. I could have made better decisions on the ball. Could have made better decisions defensively. I got to be smarter with my fouls. Got to stay more, mentally aware of certain things. I got to understand the scout a little bit better. I feel like I did a good job of that at college, but it's a different level of basketball. Again, getting played at a lot faster pace. So obviously just making that adjustment and getting better game by game. I mean, this one game isn't going to define my whole career.
Yeah.
Of course, but it's got to be a smart, aggressive. Like, a lot of them were dumb, aggressive mistakes, to be completely honest with you. So I think the biggest thing for me is just making that adjustment moving forward.
All right, and we are back, everybody. I am Jeff Garcia, your host, and with me is Joe Garcia. He's with Area 210 Podcast, and now it's time to talk about Carter Bryant. Now, he did not play in Game 2 of the California Classic. He sat out, but in Game 1, it was so-so showing, Joe. He had 21 points versus the Heat. He scored 7 points, 3 of 8 shooting, 1 for 6 from the 3 line, and he had 5 rebounds, 7 personal fouls. Everybody, you're allowed 10 fouls in the summer league play. And he had 3 turnovers. Now, Joe, you brought up a good point. You said, does this show that he's just a project? What did you mean by that?
Meaning that he might not be ready right at this juncture for heavy minutes in the rotation. It looks like he still needs to get a little bit of seasoning, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, who's to say that he's going to be a project player his entire season? As of right now, he kind of looks like a bit of a project. That's not a knock on him. That's just showing how NBA ready he is out the gate. Some players are more NBA ready than others. I think right now we're just kind of seeing that it was his first game. Give the kid some slack. Let's see how he looks in his second outing. Maybe he'll show you a little bit of something. You see little flashes here and there, but there's nothing wrong with being a project right now and getting better. And then eventually, finding your legs, so to speak, as the season, goes deeper and deeper, coming up in the 2025-26 season. I mean, look at what happened with Wemby. Look at what happened with Castle right out the gate. They needed a couple games under their belt before they really got going. Nothing wrong with Carter Bryant going through the same thing. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. And look, this is not the first time a Spur had a bad showing at Summer League. Remember that Game 1 Wemby had? Everybody was really gashing him. Oh, overrated.
A bust.
He's a bust. And for you young kids, yeah, Tim Duncan did not have a great Summer League at all. I believe Greg Ostertag busted on him, just really took it to him in that game. So it happens. These things happen. Now, you heard from Carter Bryant. He said, hey, that was his first time he's played organized basketball since the NCAA tournament. So there's that. It was a little rust. Yeah, probably some butterflies, even though he said there wasn't. And of course, you forget that he has to adapt, as everybody else does, to new teammates. They got 2 practices in before they left to the Summer League. So there's that too. I'm not making a big issue about this. It happens, Joe. But are you expecting him to get better during these Summer League games? Or what if he just continues to have a ho-hum games? Are you going to be worried?
I wouldn't be worried. I mean, what are you expecting out of the kid? Are you expecting him to come in and deliver you 30 points a game? That's not who he is. You look at the scouting report and you really see the caliber of player that Carter Bryant is. They're bringing him in for his defensive prowess and a lot of the other things that he can bring that don't show up necessarily on the stat line. His energy, his effort, being able to go out there again, go and get some rebounds, play defense, knock down an open shot here and there. I don't think he's going to be one of these players that's going to move the needle offensively, but what he is going to do is help space the floor, which is what the Spurs sorely are missing. He's going to be able to knock down a jumper from 10 to 15 feet out, be able to knock down hopefully an open 3 if he's open on the wing. These little things, they matter in the context of the game. And I think he's going to be a solid role player. I don't know if he's ever going to amount to being an NBA caliber all-star player, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a good instrumental piece on this Spurs team. I think that's what Carter Bryant's ceiling is going to be. And I think Spurs fans just need to go ahead and see the evolution of him, and what he's able to do right now, and then see the progress of what he's able to do as he gets better.
Now, one way he's going to carve himself some minutes in San Antonio is on the defensive end. Now, after the first game for the Summer Spurs, the Summer League coach, Noyes, he brought up that what they're trying to do with Carter Bryant is have him be that primary defender for the opposition's primary threat on the perimeter.
Yeah.
So expect to see that continue to go on during the last game of the California Classic, or if he does play in the Vegas Summer League as well. So I think that's where he's going to carve out his minutes, is on the defensive end. Now, it gives you some buckets. That's great. That's awesome. But he's going to have to make his impact on the defensive end. If he's going to be that pest, that Bruce Bowen, that pest on the perimeter, so be it. Because the Spurs, they got to shore up that three-point perimeter defense. We saw last year and years before that teams would just go crazy from three line. If he can cause some problems on that end of the court, the three line, then he can get himself some minutes. Joe, do you expect him to play in Austin, though?
I don't know. I mean, is it so bad for him to play with Austin? I don't see it. I don't see it as a knock on the kid. I mean, what's wrong with him getting his reps in? What's wrong with him playing against other players, higher caliber players? While they might not be at the NBA level, there's nothing wrong with getting your reps in, getting that time, getting that experience, getting your confidence up, especially if you're a rookie. That's huge. And I think that's one of the things that the Austin Spurs is used for, as far as the developmental part of let's say the league, is getting that confidence up for your young players. There's nothing wrong if he has to go ahead and do his time with the Austin Spurs. Spurs fans want to see him do well. Don't you have to have a high confidence in order to do that? You got to believe in yourself, and you have to have that kind of a swagger about you. I think the kid has it, man. He just needs to put some things together right now. It was only one game, Jeff. We're acting like he's a bust after one game. It's only been one game, man.
I know. Exactly. Yeah, I am not making a big deal about this. It just happens. These things happen. And guess what? He'll probably have a ho-hum second game because he sat out the last game and he has to get back to there. So it's going to happen. That's all. But for anything right now, I think it's the other guys in the roster, that have to prove themselves here. Ingram, Minix, Jameer Nelson Jr., Garcia, and those guys are the guys to really prove themselves. But everybody pop the brakes. Carter Bryant will be fine. He just won game. Joe, any final thoughts on Carter Bryant before we catch up with some Spurs news?
No, other than just be able to support the young kid. Let's see what he's got. The verdict's still out on him. It's still early. We've only seen him in one game, and Spurs fans are already saying nasty things. Stop it, man. Let's see what the kid can bring to the table. Give him some slack.
He is Joe Garcia with Area 210 Podcast. Make sure to follow him on X at Area 210 Podcast. When we get back, we're going to catch up some Spurs news, and then let's see what Spurs fans are talking about over the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. And we're back. We're here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Joe Garcia with Area 210 Podcast. He is on X at Area 210 Podcast. Joe, is it also true you used to date Sidney Crawford back in the day?
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
There's
those rumors, man.
I wish.
Heard you helped her out at Pepsi commercial. You were there with the, all the modeling gigs you had. How'd you do it, Joe?
No, I wish I did though. But you know what? If I did, I would have had her sport at least the shirt. You could see the.
There you go. Look at that shirt. Hey. You got the
already,
right?
Yeah, I'm actually put it in the. See some of the hats that we have going on there.
I just couldn't wait to promote his merch.
Look at this one.
What's that one about?
The Marbach one with Mike. Go ahead and take a look at it.
There you go. Yeah. Again, go to Area 210 Podcast on YouTube, and there'll be the links as well. We'll talk about that more in just a few minutes. But let's catch up with some Spurs news and notes. The Spurs have officially announced their trade with Indiana on NBA Draft Night 2025. They completed the trade with the Pacers. I got it right here. So it's official. The Spurs have officially announced their trade with the Pacers on Draft Night 2025. Spurs have officially acquired now a 2030 second round pick, cash considerations, and they exchanged the draft rights to Cameron Jones, 30th overall pick in the second round of the 2025 NBA Draft. And there's your Spurs news right now. That's about it. They'll likely announce the official deal with Luke Cornett soon, so nobody should be surprised. But it's we're in that time of the offseason, everybody, where teams can officially announce the deals that they've made. But catch up some Spurs Locked On fan comments. Yeah, Locked On Spurs fan comments. We'll pick one today. All right, this is a good one, Joe. This is from Time Machine 7773. He says, no, I got to brace yourself, everybody. I like to see them sign Dame to sit on the bench and mentor our guards while he is injured. He gives them a free shot at a chip. I don't know about that. And he starts getting healthy early. You can put up some more. We can give an opportunity to be traded at the deadline or play with us in the playoffs. Thank you, Time Machine 7073. Yeah, I feel like we had to take these in pieces here. First of all, Joe, I like the concept of a mentor guard, but I think you don't want to spend waste a roster spot on a guy who's injured and not going to contribute beyond just being a mentor. What do you think about that, Joe?
I mean, Dame's going to require you to go ahead and move some pieces in order to go ahead and acquire her. And he's going to want to have to go ahead and play here. I think at this stage in his career, Dame's probably going to want to play for a contender. Well, I do like where he's going. We had Chris Paul just a season ago removed, that was given his veteran leadership here and his insight to some of the young players here on the team, which made a big impact on how they played and the number of wins that they had for the season. I wouldn't mind Dame coming over here and playing for the San Antonio Spurs, but I just think the asking price is going to be a bit too high. And again, he's going to want to have to come over here, and at this stage in his career, he's more than likely going to play for a contender, not somebody that's just trying to put things together at this point and go to the playoffs. Like, remember I said, the battle cry for this season, upcoming season, is what? Playoffs or bust. We can't settle for a play-in. It's playoffs or bust.
Yeah. Now, Time Machine, I like your enthusiasm here, but I don't think they're going to get a shot at the chip this upcoming season. Playoffs, maybe. I could definitely see that. Time Machine, I do appreciate your enthusiasm, but I don't think they're going to get the chip, San Antonio. That ain't going to happen. And playoffs, maybe. And also, Joe, again, I wouldn't want to waste a roster spot. I want to say waste is wrong, but just I want to use a roster spot on somebody who's not going to contribute beyond just being a mentor. I think the Spurs need all hands on deck. So there's that. But you got to love the enthusiasm, Time Machine. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dame also too probably would look, you don't want to give Dame some money. Look, he's getting paid already enough money. You want to give him more just to sit on the bench? I don't think so. But we shall see. All right. Thank you for those comments there, Locked On Spurs fans. Keep them coming. Now, Joe gave you a little teaser about Area 210 podcast merch, but he didn't talk about the show, Joe. What is going on over at Area 210?
We've just been talking a lot about San Antonio Spurs as far as their moves, what they've done in the draft, what are they going to do in free agency, all that kind of stuff, speculation, rumors, that kind of stuff. Jeff's been let's say a guest on the show as well, talking about, what the Spurs are doing, rumored to be doing. So it's always, exciting around this time of year because they still do have a couple roster spots open from the last time I checked. And they still are waiting to add some players, and we'll see what happens. I mean, a Spur fan can go ahead and wish that they go ahead and add maybe some three-point shooting prowess to the team. But if you'd like to see what we have to say as far as our rebuttal to that and a lot more in the world of sports, entertainment news, and pop culture, check us out at the Area 210 podcast. We are streaming on the YouTube channel Monday through Friday from 10 to 11:30 a.m., and it's going to be on the Alamo City Podcast Network YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and check us out.
Hey, our little birdie told me you were a guest on somebody else's show. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, I came out on Elias. How we help mentor up-and-coming podcasters, which me and you have always been good about doing. And Elias is starting his new show. He's known as Sith, on the X. But you can go ahead and catch him on Sweep the League TV, which you can go ahead and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well, and catch Elias's new podcast. It's called Plead the Sith, and I was a guest on there. We live streamed this past Saturday. So if you want to catch that episode, make sure you go and check it out.
There you go. You see, Joe does it all. He has his own sports show on YouTube. He's a guest on Plead the Sith. Dated Sidney Crawford. Joe, how did you do all that, man?
I don't know. I still had time to do my merch, right?
Do the merch, yeah.
Wait, we need to get you one of these shirts, Jeff. But you know what? I think I need to get you the hat. We need to get you another hat. So I need to get you one that says Area 210.
Let's do the hat because But do you have just the alien itself? That's it? Nothing more, nothing less?
No, the ones that I've designed have Area 210 on the actual hat itself, and it has the city in the background with the 3 Fiesta colored stripes on there. But we're gonna make one with the alien on its own, but I'm looking to get those more embroidered. So we're working on that right now.
Joe's always thinking of something. Always thinking of something for the fans. Again, Joe, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us here at Locked On Spurs. Kicking off on Monday, another work week. But hey, Joe, we'll help these fans get through those Monday blues. So, Joe, we appreciate you as always. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, KenSI Plus app, YouTube. You know what to do. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs ASAP. And leave a comment on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page while you're at it. Tomorrow we're having a special guest. Can't release it out right now, but stay tuned for that. It'll be quite a very interesting look behind the scenes with your San Antonio Spurs. I'll leave it at that. So look forward to that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Spurs. But as always, we thank you for being everydayers. Keep subscribing. Let's get those numbers up. All right, everybody. All right. Thank you again, everybody, for helping us get to 8,000 subscribers. So for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.